Good evening, everyone. This is Mighty Stream, and I'm excited to be with you tonight. It's Sunday evening. We have moved our clocks on daylight saving time. We have moved our clocks ahead by 1 hour, and I'm curious, like, how is the first night going to go? I'm not sleepy, but I know I need to get some rest. I know that tomorrow's going to be a beautiful day. The boys and I were planning to be at the gym by 6:15, and I know that it's going to be a little bit hectic trying to get out the door. But if I don't get sleepy soon, I'm concerned that I will be up like until 2 in the morning trying to figure out how to drag myself out of bed a few hours later. So I'm hoping that I will have a sweet sleep tonight. I'm praying for a sweet sleep tonight. And I'm hoping that you'll have a sweet sleep tonight. And that when you wake up tomorrow morning on the 14th of March, when you wake up, you're going to have the Just for Today just sitting right there on my page, ready for you to have hope offered on demand to you. Again, my name is Mighty Stream. I'm here with the Hood Recovery Services, and I'm excited about this new program. I'm excited about it. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. I didn't see anything in my inbox today, but I did see some responses in Messenger, and I'm excited that you were excited and that it touched your life in some ways. So let's get right into the Just for Today meditation for the 14th. Let me share my screen. And should be right there. Here we go. Awesome. It's never the same. So I really am struggling to get a routine with this. However, the Just for Today for March 14th, and I will use the terminology for today, but you know, I'm recording this a day in advance. So the Just for Today for March 14th is on relationships, and this is what it says. Also, our inventories usually include material on relationships. Basic text, page 29. What an understatement this is, especially in later recovery. Entire inventories may focus on our relationships with others. Our lives have been filled with relationships with lovers, friends, parents, co-workers, children, and others with whom we come in contact. A look at these associations can tell us much about our essential character. Often our inventories catalog the resentments that arise from our day-to-day interactions with others. We strive to look at our part in these frictions. Are we placing unrealistic expectations on other people? Do we impose our standards on others? Are we sometimes downright intolerant? Often just writing the inventory of our let me start again. Often just the writing of our inventory will release some of the pressure that a troubled relationship can produce. But we must also share this inventory with another human being. That way, we get some needed perspective on our part in the problem and how we can work towards the solution. The inventory is a tool that allows us to begin healing our relationships. We learned that today, with the help of an inventory, we can start to enjoy our relationships with others. Just for today, I will inventory the part I play in my relationships. I will seek to play a richer, more responsible part in those relationships. So that's exciting. That's a really good reading. This reading in particular is talking about step 4 and taking an inventory. And we do know that our step 4 in our flat book for the step working guide is quite thorough. There's different sections, of it, and it is very thorough. And I think sometimes that it can be, how do I put it? It can be somewhat intimidating, especially if you're new. Like if you've been around for a while and you've basically have a feel for how working the steps should go. Um, you may not be intimidated by all of those questions. I remember thinking when the flat book came out, the step working guide came out, I remember thinking to myself, this is a lot of work. This inventory is a lot of work. And it took everything in me. I wasn't excited to write it, but I knew that I needed to do it. Um, and it really wasn't even my first fourth step. My first one was, I don't know if some of you remember this, but there used to be a fourth step. I want to say kind of like a little booklet, right? And that was something that I just happened to be given to do the fourth step. I want to say that was my second one, because the very first one was really just a sheet of paper or sheets of paper that were clipped together, paper clipped together, that came from someone who had been in, at that time it was called Gateway. And they passed these steps around that looked like they were typewritten. They passed them around like they were some, like the Holy Grail, right? And everyone couldn't get them. And when you did get them, you were getting them from someone who had gotten them directly from someone else that had been on the inside, had been in treatment. And so we were running it like that. Then that pamphlet or that booklet was released to help us get through it. Because you got to remember the mother company, not the mother company, oh my goodness, the Mother Fellowship, AA, at that time, their definition of working the steps or writing the steps were more about sitting down with your sponsor and reading the big book. And as you read the big book, you would encounter questions, inventory, and you would answer those questions in your interaction with your sponsor in reading. And at some point in time, they came out with something else, but it still was very brief in comparison to the step work for Narcotics Anonymous. Let me stop sharing here and get back to the main screen. So today, what we have is the flat book, the step working guide, and it's very thorough. And I think that what is said in the Just for Today reading is that we can get on to having beautiful relationships or something like that, right? Let me find it here. It says the inventory is a tool that allows us, let me highlight it so you see what I'm reading in purple, right? The inventory is a tool that allows us to begin healing our relationships. We learned that today with the help of an inventory, we can start to enjoy our relationships with others. To me, to start enjoying our relationships with others, that's a very profound statement to make. It insinuates that we were not enjoying our relationships with others, but that's not really the point. The point is that regardless of where your relationship is right now with this other person or these other people or these other organizations, right? If you remember the booklet, the fourth step booklet that we had, it even had us list resentments with organizations, right? And so wherever you are in your relationship right now today, doing a thorough inventory and allowing yourself to go through the process of having another person listen to it. And it does sound like they're going to highlight for you the areas that you need to focus on, or maybe shift your thinking more into a principled way of thinking. Like it gives your sponsee or your sponsor or your spiritual advisor the room to be able to listen to what you're writing and what you're saying and what you're thinking and give you feedback. It's not like I write all the answers to all of these questions and then I read them off and I expect the person that's listening to be in total agreement with everything that I have to say. It's not that. It's not like it is so not like that, right? It's not like that. And people have a tendency to think like when I write my fourth step and I sit down with my sponsor to cover it, that's the fifth step. But with the step working guide, you got to remember the fifth step has its own set of questions. It has its own set of questions. And so I think it's important for us to remember that this is a process and it is a beautiful process. The wheel has already been built for us. We don't need to recreate it, and that it works if you work it, and it'll work if you don't work it. But it's better that you work it, and it'll work. It'll work for you, right? That sounds like a mouthful, but that's really what I want to share with you. Is that regardless to where you're at, I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I was not planning to do this with my hair wrapped up. Believe me, I was not planning to do that. So I'm just trying to adjust it and hold it onto my head without having to let my hair down to fit it on. This is my evening wrap. This is my evening wrap. So I won't be able to share too much longer because I am really, and my throat is going through something today. So it's saying in that reading that right where you are, basically, if you apply or use this tool, this inventory, you can improve whatever relationship you're actually in or whatever uncomfortability you're experiencing. You can improve your side of the street by doing the work. And it's amazing to me how, I don't want to just say men, but how relationships work. You have one individual generally in the relationship that at any given point in time is having a problem or an issue with how the other person is conducting themselves, right? But because they're so busy pointing the finger and ignoring the other fingers that are pointing towards them, they're so busy looking outside of themselves as to why they're unhappy or why they're uncomfortable, right? A lot doesn't get done. Like you can't come to me every day and I'm the problem. At some point in time, you need to consider what you're doing or not doing that has me responding the way that I am, that you're perceiving as a problem, right? And if you do the work and you analyze your history, your past patterns, and you start to see an establishment of those patterns, how you conduct yourself or don't conduct yourself when you get what you want versus when you don't get what you want. In other words, when you're in your active addiction beyond just the use of drugs, right? Because drugs are a symptom of our diseasiness with ourselves, right? And so when we have an opportunity to look at what that is, then all of a sudden they're not so bad. Like all of a sudden you're like, I guess I do wake up a grouch, right? I guess I do have like a chip on my shoulder every time I cook dinner. And then I do dishes, then I put them away, then I do whatever, like cleaning the kitchen, and I'm the only one. Yeah, I guess I do really have an attitude. Like I cannot sit and enjoy this meal with all the people that I prepared it for because I'm totally resentful that I'm doing this all by myself, right? But your sponsor will sit and listen to you say that, okay. So you're telling me that every day you go in the kitchen, you cook, or whenever you cook dinner, you go in the kitchen, you don't have any help, you do everything on your own, you're pumping out these plates full of food. You sit down to eat and you can't take a bite because you're so frustrated because you're going to be the one cleaning up the mess. You're going to be the one doing the dishes, cleaning, getting the kitchen ready for the next day. Have you ever thought about asking the people that you're serving, your family, to pitch in? Have you thought about having everyone take a day to prepare the dinner meal and just come get you if they need some input? Even if your children can only make egg sandwiches. I'm just trying to imagine, right? Even if they can only boil some hot dogs or fry some hot dogs, maybe they're not like all chefed out, right? Full course meal every night like you, but is there something that you can let go of? Does it have to be perfect every night dinner, or can you allow someone else to do a part of it? Like participate in their own lifestyle. I want to say participate in your own recovery because that's like cliche for us, right? But the point is allow them to participate in this life that you're living by carrying their own weight, right? And so then if your sponsors listening to you respond, no, it's easier to do it because it just takes so long when it's like I can get in the kitchen, get everything hot, pump it all out on the plates. We're eating. It just is the time it would take for them to go in the kitchen, running back and forth and making a meal for everyone. I could have had it done in a third of that time. I just don't have the energy for it. But you have the energy to stew and complain about how much you're doing and no one else is doing. I'm speaking from my own experience. I'm sorry. If this resonates with you, that's really great. But I'm talking about my own experience of fourth step work and how the sponsor is able to highlight some areas that I need to improve in, right? And so ultimately, the sponsor will come away and say, you really have an issue with fear. Like you're so fearful that if you're not the one that has your finger on the button, it won't go perfect. So what happens? What's going to happen if the meal is burnt? What's going to happen if the sandwiches are cut up crooked? What is going to happen that is going to validate your fear of letting go and letting other people participate in their own livelihood? Okay. So now my sponsor will note that, right? Because as we're doing this fifth step together, discussing it, she is going to be able to give me a list of things that I need to take a look at and probably compliment me on some great things about myself as well. Right. But the great things about me aren't making my life difficult. It's the difficult things that are making my life difficult. And so she is going to be able, or he is going to be able to point out to me what they see as possible character defects. Right. Um, so when I get into that sixth step, and I'm talking about becoming entirely ready to have these defects of character removed from me, right? I'm now able, as a result of going through the fifth step, fourth step during the inventory, sitting down with a sponsor. The sponsor is highlighting things. We're doing fifth step work. 4 and 5 do go together, right? So now when I move into the sixth step, I have had a season of being able to, with my spiritual eye, pay attention to how my behavior or my patterns are playing out. How is my disease of addiction, my dis-ease of obsession and compulsion active in this relationship or in this situation? And wow, she said I have a problem with fear. I hold everything so close. I can't delegate anything to anyone because I'm so afraid that of my anger. If it's not perfect, my anger will rise up. And then that's a whole nother manifestation of my disease of addiction that I have to deal with, is that if things don't go my way, I become very angry and hostile to the point where even if I do what I could allow others to do, I'm so resentful that I'm the only one that is doing it that I can't even enjoy the fruit of it. Now, see, a very good sponsor is going to be able to listen to your inventory and pull that out of you. And when I leave the presence of my sponsor, he or she may say, let me get back to you. Let me think about this. But the next time we meet, we're going to discuss this again. And I'm going to have a list of some things that I believe you need to work on, that if you become conscientious of them, right, as you're moving through your day-to-day life, that your life will improve because now you're not always operating from behind the 8 ball. You're taking charge, you're taking control of a very problematic situation and how you respond to things. You're making a conscious decision to not react the same way that you've been reacting. And that brings me to the point where I do see how working the steps can make a person feel better about the relationship that they're in. Because now you're able to actually see it's not just them, it's me too. And I have work to do. And I don't know how they were responding to the things that I've been, acting out on, my anger, my hostility, my resentment at feeling like everyone else is lazy. But I can see if I'm no longer harping on that, they probably can breathe a little bit and have a desire to just be of some help because I'm not like walking around with a grudge on my shoulder or the silent treatment. You understand what I'm saying? Am I being very clear? Like, you can take this reading for the day and apply it in so many ways, but the main point that we want to get from it is that if I use the 4th step, the tools of doing an inventory, my relationships become better. And they become better because my understanding of how I respond to things as a result of working these steps with a sponsor changes. My understanding of myself increases. And so now, when I get into an interaction with someone I have a relationship with, I already know what to steer clear of. I already know what behaviors are a manifestation of my disease of addiction. And almost like a cool breeze that comes and blows against your cheek and then it moves on, right? Almost like a breeze like that, I am able to move through situations gracefully, gracefully. And even if there's that little thing back there that still bothers me, I have a sponsor that I can go to that I've exposed my truth to and say, you know what, I'm doing everything I can. But I just cannot take them throwing down on those burgers I make and nobody offers to clean up the table or even do dishes. And she's gonna say, did you ask for help? Did you tell someone, you know what, I'm a bit tired from cooking and standing on my feet. I'm going to need you to do the dishes. Can you do that for me? And in that instance, I can imagine the sponsee saying, I was just too nervous. I didn't want to deal with it. They said no or gave me some lip about it, what I would do, right? Everything is better as a result of working the steps and applying spiritual principles. Our relationships are better. Our relationships are better. So I hope that helps you today. I hope that, when you wake up and you listen to this, that you are benefited from it. My name is Mighty Stream. I am with Hood Recovery Services, Hope Offered on Demand, and you can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. This week, I'm going to work on changing the background and getting that email put over on this side here, so that I won't have to do that. But again, I'm just really doing. I believe I'm doing what I'm called to do with this program. I believe that this is what everything has led to. I believe that some of the prayers and declarations and proclamations over my life are being fulfilled even now. And so, as I work out the kinks, I just want to ask for you to be patient with me. Pretty soon, I can't tell you exactly when, but pretty soon, I'm going to be doing some interviews with some people that aren't worried about their anonymity, which they have the right to be. I'm not one of them, but I want to interview some people that have been in the program for a while. They've stayed. They don't have a relapse is not a part of their story. And I want to interview some people who came into the program. They stayed a while and they ended up relapsing and they've come back and started to recover all over again. I think that would be beneficial, right? My name is Mighty Stream and I am a recovering addict. I'm out. I'm still not sleepy, so I'm not sure what's about to happen. I'll probably get on the 24/7 in a meeting that it's an international meeting that I do service work on. So I'm looking forward to that. God bless you. May you have the most awesome Monday. May Monday be completely awesome for you. Thank you for listening.